at different topic. All right. So, and I'm going to do a little recap of what we did last week. All right. So we talked about respiration last week. Was it last week? No, that was on Monday. All right. So we looked into respiration. We defined respiration, the process whereby I told you it is not only limited to gaseous exchange, right? So it is a vital biological process that provides energy to all living organisms, and it releases ATP. So it involves the breakdown of glucose to release energy in the form of ATP with gaseous exchange. All right, with gaseous exchange and heat production. Okay, so and we looked into different respiratory organs. We talked about different organisms with their respiratory organs. We looked into the stomatal movements. All right, so and we talked about the respiratory mechanisms in plants. We looked into the respiratory surfaces like the stomata, the lenticels, the root hairs. We looked at the types of respiration, which is the aerobic respiration, the anaerobic respiration, where I said the aerobic respiration occurs in the presence of oxygen. All right, while anaerobic respiration occurs in the absence of oxygen. And I gave you the equations for these two types of respiration. I also deduced differences between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. And the class was very interesting. All right, so today we are going to excretion. We are going to look into the topic excretion, as you can see it on the board. All right, so when we talk of excretion, what comes to your mind? What is excretion? Please, if you can hear me, please thumbs up so I can be sure that I am communicating. If you can hear me, please thumbs up so I can know that I am communicating. All right. All right. Thank you, Eniola. So we are looking into excretion, and when we talk of excretion, we are as science students, we are familiar with the word excretion, the removal of waste products. Okay, so I'm going to give you the definition of excretion. All right, so this could be a kind of brush up for what you've known before, or a kind of revision of what you have known before. Okay, so excretion is the process by which living organisms remove waste products. All right, waste products produced during metabolism. So it is the process of removing waste products, that is those things that are not needed in your body. Those things that are not needed in your body, it is the process by which those things are being removed, and your body system functions well. So the process by which those things that are not needed in your body, they are being removed, that is what we call excretion. All right, so excretion is the process by which living organisms remove waste products produced during metabolism. So this is the definition of excretion, and I hope you are familiar with excretion, removal of things that are not needed in your body. All right, so we are looking into the excretory organs. We have different types of excretory structures. All right, according to the type of organisms. So we have different excretory structures. So I want you to give me your total attention so that you can understand every point I'll be making here. All right, so like I just say that we do not just take topics here on A1 to talk HAP. We do not just take topics. We follow the UTME syllabus. All right, so I'm going to be taking you through the key points. All right, the key points that the UTME required of you to read or to study. All right. So types of excretory structures. We have different types of excretory structures, and it depends on the type of organism. It varies with um organisms. Okay. So types of excretory structures. Types of excretory structures. Okay, so number one organism or number one structure we are going to be discussing is the contractile vacuole. Contractile vacuole. Okay, so just like I mentioned earlier, that it varies with organism. So the contractile vacuole is present in all these protozoans, like all these unicellular organisms like the amoeba, the euglena, the paramecium, all these unicellular organisms, multicellular organisms, or let me say the protozoans. So the contractile vacuole is present in all these organisms, and I'm going to be showing you a um uh a diagram of one of the unicellular organisms, which is the amoeba. Okay, so I'm going to show you the structure. The structure. I'm going to show you the structure of these organisms. All right, because this contractile vacuole, like I said earlier, it is present in unicellular organisms like amoeba, the paramecium, the euglena. All these organisms they have contractile vacuole, and the function of the contractile vacuole is to remove waste. Is to remove waste. So um instead of the kidney in humans, the the unicellular organism make use of the contractile vacuole. All right. So I think I'm going to just show you how it looks like. Okay. So like you all know that amoeba has no shape, right? So contractile vacuole is something like this in amoeba. All right, so it's something like this in amoeba, and it is labeled contractile vacuole. So the function of this contractile vacuole is to regulate water balance, and removes excess water. You know, all these organisms, they are small organisms, and their major component is, liquid. All right, so the removal of excess water, they remove excess water from their body, and the organs they make use of in removing the excess water is contractile vacuole. So it is not only present in amoeba, like the euglena. Now the contractile vacuole is something like this. This is the flagella. So the contractile vacuole is always present in those organisms. Okay, it is present in those organisms. So the function is to remove excess water. All right. So another structure is the flame cells. The flame cells. Another structure is the flame cells. All right. the flame cells, that is the second structure. The first structure is contractile vacuole, which you can find in protozoans. All right, you can find in protozoans and simple organisms like the amoeba, the euglena, the paramecium. That is where you can find the contractile vacuole, and it is used to remove excess water and also regulate water balance in their body. All right, so the second structure, the second excretory structure is the flame cells. The flame cells. You can find this in flatworms. You can find this in flatworms, planaria. All right, so you can find this in flatworms, planaria. And what is the function of the flame cells? It's a tubule network of tubules, and it helps to remove metabolic waste. It functions in almost the same way because we are looking into the excretory structures. And don't forget, the topic we are treating is excretion. So we are trying to check and compare the different excretory structures, the different excretory structures in accordance to the different organisms that we have. So I have made mention of the organisms where you can find the contractile vacuole, and number two, which is flame cells. It is the excretory structure of flatworms and planaria. All right, thank you, Blessing. So it is the excretory structure of flatworms and planaria. So it functions in the same way. It helps to remove the metabolic waste. All you just need to note is the different structures of the different organisms. That is the major thing you need to know. And then their excretory products. So you need to take note of those things. All right. So the number three excretory structure is the nephridia. Nephridia. That is the number three structure. And I think I have the nephridia structure here. So the nephridia is present in earthworms. It is present in earthworms. All right. So take a look at this. All right, um this is an example of this is earthworm. All right, so and the nephridian is something like this. You can see this is nephridia, as you can see on the bird. This is nephridia. So one of the structures, one of the nephridian is what we brought out here, is what is there. Okay, you can see you have you have many nephridium. So the collection is what we call nephridia. So just one of them is what we brought out here. All right, I hope you understand what I mean. This one, just one of all this, is what is out here that we labeled out. All right, so the function of this nephridia, like I said earlier, that the single is the nephridium, but when you collectively call them together, the collection of nephridium is what we call nephridia. All right, so and this is the labels. We have the first loop, the second loop, the third loop. All right, one, two, three, first, second, third. Okay, so the third loop has the bladder. All right, so and the function of the nephridia, just as you can see, it is a tube-like, as you can see on the bird, it is a tube-like structure. So it filters the body fluid and excretes nitrogenous waste. I made mention of something that the excretory structures, the things you need to note are the different structure of the different organisms, also their excretory products. So the excretory product of nephridia, the excretory product of nephridia is nitrogen waste. All right, is nitrogen or nitrogenous waste. So nitrogenous waste is what is released out of the body of the earthworm, the mollusks, all the organisms that has nephridia. So the waste product is nitrogenous waste. Please take note of that. The question can just come in any form, in any way. So you need to take note of the different waste product of the different organisms by their different structures. All right. So if you put your mind, it's not something that is difficult. You just have to focus and concentrate. Then you grab it. So this is for the nephridian, and you can see it in earthworms. You can also see it in mollusks. Okay, can also see it in mollusks. All right, so we move to another structure. We move to another structure, which is the Malpighian tubule. Malpighian tubule. This is present in insects. Malpighian tubule. Malpighian tubule. This is present in insects. All right, it is present in insects, and it also functions in almost the same way. It helps to remove waste. It helps to remove waste, and I'm going to show you an example of an insect that has Malpighian tubule. That has Malpighian tubule. All right, so here we have an insect that has Malpighian tubule. All right, as you can see on the bird. So here is the anatomy of an insect, and it is showing the Malpighian tubule. This is the Malpighian tubule. Here is the Malpighian tubule. So what is the function of this Malpighian tubule? It helps to extract waste. Just like I said earlier, that all the excretory structures function in the same way, because the function or the purpose of excretion is to remove waste products. Is to remove things that are not needed in your body. So why I said they function, all the excretory structures function in the same way, is to remove waste. However, the structures, they have their own different waste products they remove from the body of the organisms. All right. So for insects, it's also function. This Malpighian tubules is the excretory structure, and it also function in removing waste. However, the name of the waste it removes, the name of the waste it removes, or the waste product from insect or from the Malpighian tubule, is what we call the uric acid. So uric acid is a waste from insects. All right, I believe you are taking note of that. So uric acid is a waste from insect. Okay, so it releases into the gut of the organisms for, or sorry, of the insect for elimination. All right, for elimination. As you can see, the hind gut here, you can see it is very, very close to the Malpighian tubules. So once the uric acid is formed, it releases it into the gut. You can see the hind gut here. So when it comes to the hind gut, you can see the anus. So it comes through the anus. All right. So the waste product is the uric acid. So we move to what we call the vertebrates now. We move to what we call the vertebrates. Okay, so the structure, the excretory structure of the vertebrates, we are going to be looking at the kidney. We are going to be looking at the kidney. All right. So that is the first excretory organ of vertebrates. Don't forget, human being also fall into this category. Human being also fall into this category. All right. So this is the structure of kidney here. All right. So you can see this is human being. This is what is inside of you. This is what is inside of human being. You can see the structure. You can see where the kidneys are located. All right. So the structure of the kidney is what we brought out here. So this is responsible for one of the excretory products. Okay. So you can see we have two kidneys. You have the left kidney, you have the right kidney. Okay, this is the ureter, this is the bladder, this is the urethra. All right, so this is where the urine is saved. Okay, this is where the urine is it comes to. So it helps to filter blood, it helps to filter, remove nitrogenous waste in the body in form of urine. So everything that is not needed in your body, things that are not needed in your body, comes here, and through the ureter it is joined to the bladder and saved as urine. All right, so when your bladder is full, that is when you feel like, oh, you want to pee, and it comes out through the urethra. All right, so however, kidney is not the only excretory organ. Kidney is not the only excretory organ for vertebrates. Okay, for vertebrates like us, kidney is not the only excretory organ. We are still going deeper into that. Okay, so for plants, we have the stomata and we have the lenticel. Don't forget, we are still under the excretory structures. All right, we are still under the excretory structures. Number one is contractile vacuole. Number two, we looked into the flame cells. Number three, we looked into the nephridia. Number four, we looked into the Malpighian tubules by insects. And number five, we looked into the kidney, which is this. All right. So this is the kidney. All right, for humans. Okay, so for plants, we are looking into the stomata. Stomata. Stomata is an excretory organ of plants. Okay, so I'm going to show you the structure of the stomata, how it looks like. This is stomata. This is stomata on the bird. This is how it looks. Okay, so you have water here, you have water here, you have water here. All right, so you have potassium ions here. So this is how the stomata looks like. And what is the function? Don't forget, stomata is found on the leaves. We have done this, right? We have done this in our previous class. So stomata is found on the leaves. Yes, when we did photosynthesis, I made mention of that. So your stomata is found on the leaf or inside the leaf. Okay, so that is where you can find your stomata, and the function of the stomata, you can also find it in stem. All right, so it facilitates the removal of oxygen. Don't forget that in our photosynthesis, I explained that oxygen is given off. That is during the light reaction in photosynthesis. That is when the light shines on the leaf, it breaks down the water molecule and oxygen is given off. I know those that have been following us. Okay. So if you can hear me, please thumbs up. If you can hear me. If you can hear me, please thumbs up. All right, thank you. So um I was talking about the stomata. All right. So the stomata, it helps to remove waste products also from the plant. It helps to remove oxygen. So like I explained during the photosynthesis that oxygen is given off. So the oxygen is the waste product of the plant. All right. Also water vapor. Water vapor during transpiration. That is why you can see water here, water here. So water vapor is also released out of the plant as a waste. So the second excretory structure in plants is the lenticels. Is the lenticels. All right, is the lenticels. That is the second excretory structure in plants, the lenticel. So I hope you are familiar with something like this. When you see probably a tree and you see the body of the tree this way, you can see the stem. So here you can see what is labeled as lenticel. So this is lenticel. All right. So this is lenticel. So the function of lenticel is to remove, is for exchange of gases, including the release of excess oxygen and carbon dioxide, just like the stomata. So which means that the two major um those are not the only excretory organs actually, but according to the syllabus, we'll be looking at the lenticel and the stomata. So these are the two excretory structures we are considering for this class. All right, so these are the two excretory structures for plants that we are considering. So I have made mention of 7 excretory structures today. I have made mention of 7 excretory structures today. I made mention of the contractile vacuole, the flame cells, the nephridia, the Mapigian tubules, the kidney, the stomata, and the lenticel. All right. So those are the 7 excretory structures I have made mention of today. So we are looking into the excretory mechanisms in the kidney, lungs, and skin. The other time when I made mention of kidney and I showed you the structure, the diagram of kidney, I said we are going to go look into it deeper. All right, so we'll be looking at the excretory mechanisms in the kidney, lungs, and the skin. Okay, so the excretory organs in the kidney, the lungs, and the skin, that is in humans, or let me say, should I say vertebrates? All right, so I said the kidney is not the only excretory structure. All right, so most especially when it comes to human, so we make use of the kidney, the lungs, the lungs, and sorry, the lungs and the skin. And we are going to be explaining the 3 organs and their excretory products. Okay, so I want to show you a structure now of human, how the kidney works. Don't forget that the kidney helps to filter blood. It helps to filter blood. It removes nitrogenous waste in the form of urine. It removes excess salt and water in the form of urine. So it has processes, all right? It has processes. There is what we call filtration, there is secretion, there is excretion itself. Okay, so I want to show you a structure now for human. All right. So as you can see, I know you are familiar with the shape from the kidney I showed you earlier. Okay. I know you are familiar with this bean shape. Don't forget you have something like this, right? And we have another one like this that I showed you earlier. All right. So one of them is what is here. One of them is what is here, and inside this is what is where we extracted this and this. All right, I'm going to come again. I showed you 2 different kidneys. Oh, sorry, 2. Yeah, we have 2 kidneys. Okay, so and I showed you the structure for human being. Okay, so we have two different kidneys, and one of them is what is here. So inside the kidney is where we have all of this. You can see what is inside here. So what is inside here is what is brought out here. I hope you understand. If you understand, thumbs up. If you understand, thumbs up. All right, thank you. Okay, so what is inside here is, thank you, blessing. So what is inside here is what we brought out here. All right, and that is what is labeled out, because we want to see how these waste products are being released out. We want to look at the processes, how it happens, how it occurs. We just know that we pee every time. We just know that we pass out urine. How does these things form? How does our urine form? That is what we want to look at. Okay. So number one process for kidney. All right. So the number one process is filtration. Filtration, from the word filter. Filtration. So blood enters the kidney. Okay, as you can see, blood enters the kidney, and there is something we call the glomerulus. Glomerulus. Okay, or we call it glomerular. So you can say glomerulus, okay? So there's something we call glomerulus, and it is present in this bean shaped organ, which is the kidney. So that is what we have brought here. Look at the glomerulus. This is glomerulus, circled in red. All right. So here is the glomerulus. What happened in the glomerulus? You can see the place is red. That is blood. All right. So the glomerulus filters out waste. It filters water and small molecules into the Bowman's capsule. Here is the Bowman's capsule. You can see the Bowman's capsule is inside here. What is inside is the glomerulus, but this outside structure is what we call the Bowman's capsule. Okay, Bowman's capsule. So the glomerulus is like a sheath. Is like a sheath. That is why it functions in sheathing or in filtering the blood. All right, so it's like a sheath. Okay, it's like a sheath, something like this. So that is why it functions in filtering the blood. All right, so the function of the glomerulus is to filter out waste, water, and small molecules into the Bowman's capsule. You can see that it is from the Bowman's capsule that you have a long tube, and it is that long tube that comes in brown color that you can see here. Brown color, you can see the tube. So it is the Bowman's capsule that comes to, that is where the brown tubes emanate from. Okay, so we also have something we call reabsorption. Don't forget, we are talking about the process, the processes. Okay, number one is filtration, two is reabsorption. We are still under kidney. Okay, so reabsorption is, when you shift something, sometimes when you filter something, if you don't if you are not very careful, you will filter the things that are needed. The things you need, you will filter them with it if you are not careful. So sometimes you still need to redo it, or repeat the process for you to get, or for you to remove only the waste, so that those things that are needed will not also be filtered with it. Okay, so that is where reabsorption comes in. Okay, so it is the useful substances like the glucose, the water, the ions, they are reabsorbed into the blood in the renal tubules. All right, so they are reabsorbed. That is those things that might have been filtered by the glomerulus, and probably the things that are still needed in the body, like the glucose, the water, the ions, they are reabsorbed into the blood. They are reabsorbed into the blood. All right, they are reabsorbed into the blood. Okay, so that is what we call the reabsorption process. And the number three, or the number C, is the secretion. So here, the additional waste and excess ions, they are secreted into the urine. That is, all these tubules, the collecting duct helps to bring it down from the kidney, then it goes the um to the bladder. All right, so it goes to the bladder and then eliminated through the urethra. Okay, so they are secreted into the urine, and then via excretion the urine is collected into the bladder and eliminated through the urethra. All right, so another point or another excretory organ is the lungs. Another excretory organ is the lungs. All right, so what comes out of the lungs? Of course, you breathe in oxygen and you breathe out carbon dioxide. All right, so the carbon dioxide and water vapor produced during respiration, all right, they are released out. They are released out. The oxygen is used in, the oxygen is used in your body cells. You make use of the oxygen and then you produce what we call the carbon dioxide as a waste product. Please take note of that. So the waste product of the lung is what? Is the carbon dioxide. All right, is the carbon dioxide. So for the lungs, it expels carbon dioxide and water vapor during exhalation. So the major excretory products of the lungs is the CO2 and water vapor. The CO2 and water vapor. So if you have any question that you want to ask, please do not hesitate to ask your question. Do not hesitate to ask your question. Okay, you can drop it using the chat box, and or you can drop it using the chat box and it will be attended to. All right, and then for those that are watching us, if you are watching us for the first time on the YouTube, please do well to like, do well to comment, and subscribe. Click on the subscription button. Click on the subscribe button. All right, and subscribe to this channel for you to keep getting educative videos. All right, so talking about the lungs, we have talked about the kidney as a respiratory organ. We have talked about the lungs, and the third organ is the skin. When there is heat, especially in this heat period in Nigeria, what do? You sweat a lot, and the sweat comes out of your skin. So the sweat coming out of your skin is an excretory product. All right, so it is an excretory product. So the skin excretes, sweat, which contains the water, the salt, and small amount of urea. So if you taste your sweat, or probably you are sweating and the sweat just comes to your mouth, you will see that it is salty. So this is to tell you that your sweat contains salt. All right, so water, salt, and small amount of urea. That is the product of that is the respiratory product of skin. The water, salt, and little amount of urea. That is the waste product of your skin. All right, and this water, salt, and urea comes from where what we call sweat gland. Sweat gland. You can see it in your question. Please take note of it. It is the sweat gland that helps to release this water, the salt, urea. It is the sweat gland that absorbs it from the blood. So it is via the sweat gland that all these are released. Okay, so the sweat is released through the pores in your skin, through the pores in your skin. So evaporation of sweat also helps regulate body temperature. It also helps to regulate body temperature. So like I said earlier, if you have any question, please ask your question using the chat box. All right. So we move to the economic importance of the excretory products of plants. So we have talked about the excretory organs, the excretory structures of the animals. All right. Not all the organisms actually, but the selected ones. We are done with them. We've talked about the animals. So we are moving to the excretory organs in or excretory products of plants. We have talked about the excretory structures of plants too, where we talked about the stomata, the lenticel. So we want to see the importance of these excretory products, the importance of these excretory products in plants. All right, in plants. Okay, so number one, we have what we call carbon dioxide excretory products. Forget, don't forget, we are still under excretion. We are still under excretion. So I'm going to present this again that I presented before. Okay, so for plants, we have what we call the excretory products of carbon dioxide and the importance, the economic importance. What do we mean by economic importance? That is the general importance of carbon dioxide. So number one, it is used in carbonated drinks and refrigeration. It is used in carbonated drinks. I won't be able to write all the notes, but you can still jot and grab everything that I'm saying. Okay, so used in carbonated drinks and refrigeration, it also enhances plant growth. All right, so it's also used in fire extinguishers. It is used in fire extinguishers. That is for carbon dioxide. It is used in fire extinguishers. So the number two product, we are done with number one. Number two product is oxygen. Oxygen. So for oxygen, what is the economic importance of oxygen? What do you think we use oxygen for? Number one, what should come to your mind is that we breathe in oxygen. So it is for human and animal survival, responsible in respiration okay, so oxygen is very, very important and useful for human and animal survival because we breathe in oxygen. So it is also used in hospitals for patients with breathing difficulties. I hope we are all familiar with that, we are aware of that. So some people, when they have difficulties in breathing, probably in the hospital, they are laying lifeless. What do? There is a big tube. For those that are familiar with the hospital, you see there's a big tube like this, and then um the tube comes from the cylinder. All right, so that is where the oxygen comes from. Okay, so it is also used sometimes. They use the word, oh, the patient is on oxygen. All right, so it is also used in the hospitals for patients with breathing difficulty. So it also supports combustion in industries and steel manufacturing. Okay, it is used in industrial, it is used, all right, in industries. Okay, so another product of plants is what we call tannins. 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 Here, tannins. Okay, so function of tannin, it is used to produce leather, like used in leather industry to produce leather. Also is used in making natural dyes. All right, it is used in making natural dyes. It is also used in treating wounds and diarrhea because it has what we call antimicrobial. It has something we call antimicrobial. Okay, so it is used in treating wounds. Okay, so another product is Another product is resins. Okay, so this is used for, it's used in paint, it's used in providing animal substances, used in fragrance, used in making paints. You perceive the fragrance, all right. So it is also used in making herbal remedies, all right. That is the function of resins. And another product is gum. So what do we use gum for? It is used as thickening agents. Thickening, thickening. Thickening. It is used in thickening. Okay, so it helps in thickening food. All right. Even in chewing gum, it is applied. It is used in making chewing gum, candies. It is used in that. Also, it is used in fabric painting for textile industries. It is used in fabric painting. So that is gum. And another product is the what we call the the mucilage. The mucilage. Okay. So this is an ingredient in cough syrups and laxation. You can see plant is very, very useful to human. Plant is very, very useful. So mucilage is, used in cough syrups and laxations. It also acts as a thickener in food and soaps, jellies and all of that. So it is also used in skincare products to retain moisture. So that is mucilage, also used in skincare products. Okay, so and the last one is the alkaloid. 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 So alkaloid is used in painkillers. It is used in painkillers. Okay, it is used in painkillers. Some alkaloids are also used in making beverages. So you can see that we cannot do without plants. Plants are very, very essential to human. Plants are very, very essential to human. So I believe you understand today's class. So today we talked about excretion. We looked into the definition of excretion, that is the process whereby living organisms they remove waste products produced during metabolism. We looked into the excretory structures, which are the contractile vacuole present in some organisms like the amoeba, paramecium, the Euglena, you know, all those organisms, and it is used to regulate water imbalance and also help in removing excess water. All right, so we talked about the flame cells where we it also helps to remove the metabolic waste. It helps to remove the metabolic waste. Okay, we looked into nephridia, which is present in the earthworms, the mollusks. So it is also a tube-like structures that filter body fluid and excrete nitrogenous waste. That is nephridia. So we talked about the malpighian tuberose, e.g., the insects, the arachnids. So it also extracts waste like uric acid. So that is excreted by the insect Malpighian tuberose. Okay. So for vertebrates, we looked into the kidney and it also filter blood nitrogenous waste in the form of urine. Okay, and for plants, we looked into the stomata, the lenticel cell, we looked into their waste products that are released out of them, and we looked into the excretory mechanisms in the kidney, lungs, and the skin. We looked into their processes that for the kidney, waste, the waste products, which are the excess salt, the water, you know, the urea, which comes, everything joins together to form urine. Okay, so and for lungs, the waste product is the CO2, the carbon dioxide or carbon dioxide in water vapor during exhalation. And for the skin, the waste product is water, salt, and small amount of urea. That was when I said sometimes when you sweat profusely, the sweat can even come to your mouth and you'll be like, this thing is salty. You may not say that, but I know that majority of us have actually experienced that. So unconsciously, you have tasted your sweat and you see that it is salty. Okay, so that should tell you that salt is also one of the, it's part of the waste product of the skin. All right, and I made mention of the sweat glands. All right, the sweat glands, it is the sweat glands that absorb the water, salt, and urea from the blood and then releases it out via the pores in the skin. Okay, so don't forget that. Don't forget the sweat gland. Okay, so we talked about the economic importance of the excretory product of plants, where we looked into the carbon dioxide, the oxygen, the tannins, the resins, the combs, the mucilage, and the alkaloids. All right. So if you have any question you want us to trade together, please send using the chat box so we can attempt it together. All right. So I am going to give us some questions. All right, I'm going to give us some questions so you can see and be familiar with the way UTME sets their questions under this topic. It may not come directly like this, but this is to tell you, or this is for you to be familiar with the way UTME sets their questions. All right. So I am going to be pasting some questions here for you to see. Okay, so I want to wipe off this word so we can see where to paste our questions. Okay, so number one question is 2022. 2022. And here we go. All right. So the question says the waste product of insects. The waste product of insects is dash. The waste product of insects is dash. A. Uric acid. B. Urine. C. Mucilage. And D. Sweat. The waste product of insects. I want us to attempt this question together. So if you know the answer, please send to the chat box. I want you to attempt this question according to the explanations that we had today. What is the waste product of insects? A. Uric acid. B. Urine. C. Mucilage. And D. Sweat. Thank you very much, Blessing. I love that. Bravo. Thank you very much. Yeah. So the answer is uric acid. Thank you. This shows that you are following the class. So the waste product of insects is uric acid. And don't forget that their excretory structure is what? Is Malpighian tubule. The question could come in this way. It could be their structure. It could be their structure that would be there as options. So you just need to know their structures, their waste products. All right. So the answer is A, which is uric acid. Thank you. So the second question is also 2022. The second question is also 2022. All right. So the second question says, the second question, sorry. So the second question says, yeah, this is the question in red. Okay. So it says the part of mammalian skin that excretes metabolic waste is dash. The part of mammalian skin that excretes metabolic waste is dash. A. Sweat gland. B. Honey layer. C. Mapigian layer. And D. Sebaceous gland. What is the answer? We have talked about this today. So I need an answer for this. I want you to attempt this as well before we move to the last question, or we call it a day. Thank you very much. I love that. Bravo. Yes, So the parts of mammalian skin, yes, thank you. Thank you for your responses. So the part of the mammalian skin, like I said earlier, is the sweat gland. So you can see that UTME is not something that is difficult. All right. So do not be tense inside the exam, or just calm down. Try to be logical. The question might come directly, it might not come directly, but surely it is what you know. All right. So yes, the answer is sweat gland, just like I explained today. So I'm going to give you one more question so that you can see that all these things are what we have discussed. So you can see that all these things are what we have discussed today. So I'm going to give you this as the last question for today. The last question for today. So this is 2021. This is 2021 under this topic, under this same topic. So the question says, which of the following is not an excretory product of man? Which of the following is not an excretory product of man? A, salt. B, don't forget that when we are talking about excretory product of man, we are talking of you're talking of the lungs, you're talking of the skin, you're talking of the kidney. So all the excretory product that comes out from the skin, from the kidney, from the lungs, all of them all together are the excretory product from man. So looking at this question, which of the following is not an excretory product of man? A, salt. B, carbon dioxide. C, nitrogen waste. Carbon dioxide is also carbon dioxide, okay? So, which is CO2. So, nitrogen waste. D, oxygen. Which one is not an excretory product? Which one is not an excretory product? I want you to attempt that too. Which one is not an excretory product? Great. This is great. This is great. I love that. I love that. Thank you very much for following, for paying total attention in class. I am happy. Yeah, I am happy. This shows that my explanations are not in vain. Okay, so yes, the answer is oxygen, because you breathe in oxygen. Oxygen is useful to your body system. It is useful to your body cells. So you breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. Salt, like I explained earlier, is one of the waste products of the kidney, one of the waste products of the skin. All right, while carbon dioxide is the waste product of the lungs. Okay, and the nitrogen waste is a waste product of the kidney. So the salt, carbon dioxide, nitrogen waste, they are waste products of man. So oxygen is not a waste product. It is what we make use of. We breathe in oxygen, and it is useful to our body system. So thank you very much for joining today's class, and I'm so happy that you paid total attention. I would like you to also, go to our app, A1 Tutor app. You see numerous past questions, different here. You see different past questions. Try and check different questions on this topic or even previous topic. Attempt as many questions as possible, and success is yours. So thank you for joining today's class. See you in the next class. Bye.